Now I work as a real estate agent with the Altman Brothers team. You might know Josh and Matt Altman from $1 Million Listing. I'm on their team. I make some cameos on the show every now and again.
Listen, I'm the type of person that if I have to hit that wall 50 times to get through it, I will hit it 50 times. You know, and I know people after 2 times, they're like, okay, I'm done.
For the first year, I think it's very hard if you move or change careers, and you have to just accept that and find ways to feel good about yourself.
It's so easy to just be lazy.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that, because if you want to be very successful, you have to put in the work, you got to show up. I always say you got to get up, you got to dress up, and you got to make things happen.
You know, nobody expected 2020 to turn out the way that it did, but if you're positioned to adapt to those kind of changes, then you're going to survive it a lot better than most people.
Hey everyone, so today I have a very good friend of ours, my husband and I. Her name is Joanna Palante, and she's absolutely amazing, beautiful as you guys can see. And well, today we're gonna get a lot of gold nuggets from her. And yeah, so Joanna.
Thank you so
Welcome.
much, Syl. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Love having you guys in our lives. You guys have become really, really good friends of ours. And yeah, just a little background about me. I was born and raised in New York. I graduated from Fordham University in the Bronx, got my career start in finance. I worked for Bloomberg as a sales professional for his media and financial company. And then after that, I transitioned into a 5-year career on Wall Street as a broker in the credit derivatives market, which was largely dominated by men, as you can imagine, especially back then. And it was a great run for me, but after 5 years, it ran its course, and I knew that I was ready for a change. And it was about lifestyle and career and well-being and all that good stuff. So I packed up, I moved to California by myself, no boyfriend. Everyone always thinks there was some man involved. I left it all behind. I traded my fancy career, my apartment, my family, my friends, everything in New York. And I moved here and I rebuilt my life, my career, my friends, my home, everything. And now I work as a real estate agent with the Altman Brothers team. You might know Josh and Matt Altman from $1 Million Listing. I'm on their team. I make some cameos on the show every now and again. So 2021, as I'm getting used to saying, I've come a long way from 2012 when I left that old life behind.
You know, and something impressive, because I'm like, you'd be perfect for driven ladies, because I know a lot of people get stuck somewhere they don't want to be, right? Because the fear of, when I went 5 years, whatever, I have my degree, I did this, and this is what I picked, and how am I gonna pick up and drop everything and switch not only careers, but a complete life, I know people that stay stuck somewhere, and I'm saying this because I have a lot of clients that are stuck in the home, let's say 12, 15, 20 years. And for you to just pick up like that and say, you know what, this isn't working for me. The career that I have is not what I want it to be.
Yep.
It's not taking me to the life that I want to live.
Yep.
So I'm just going to pick up and go. What did that feel like? And what made you decide, like, this is what I want to do and this is what I'm doing, and I don't care what anybody thinks, and I'm okay leaving everything I've built here to go start basically from scratch?
Sure. Well, one thing that really stuck with me was I did a client trip out here in 2010.
Okay.
And I was making fantastic money. I was busy. I had a crazy social life. And like I said before, family, friends, the whole package, not necessarily a relationship at that point, which was what I really wanted, because ultimately I wanted to get married and have children. But, the career aspect was, I loved what I did at the time. I liked getting up and going to work every day. I was very motivated and making money, and that part of life was good. The quality of life, not so much, because I was married to my job. I had to entertain clients. My job was a 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. that went into nights and weekends and entertaining because it was sales based. So there was a lot of client entertainment. So there really was the only night or time of the week that I took off was Friday night. Every single Friday night, I stayed in bed, I recovered.
And then back at it on Monday.
And then Saturday night, Sunday night. I mean, there was...
Oh, well, the weekend, that's right.
Yeah, we did, football Sundays at a bar, Saturday night at a nightclub. It was Wall Street. We were making money and we had to spend money on clients in order to make that money. We just had big entertainment budgets and it was part of the job. So it sounds really glamorous. You get to go to a nightclub, or you used to back then. Things have changed a bit in the industry, but we would get tables and bottle service, and I would invite my girlfriends, and I would get a Hamptons house and all these fancy things that sound really great on paper, but they didn't bring me a lot of happiness because I would just literally go to the Hamptons on a Friday and then Monday morning at 4:00, be in my car driving back to the city and at my desk by 7. Wow. So when I came to LA in 2010, I just had this moment where I was walking around. I was staying at the SLS Hotel over here on La Cienega. My clients were busy with meetings, and I walked around that area and I just said, wow, if this is life here in January, I mean, it's magical. It's 70, it's sunny. People are happy. They're out and about during the day. It was such a dramatic change from New York, where everyone used to just walk around in a rush and angry, and nobody says good morning. You got in the elevator and that's how your day started. It was just angry. Like it was this, I have to go out and battle the elements to get to work and get on the subway or whatever you had to do. But there was just this quality of life that was lacking. And the more I started visiting California, the more it became apparent to me that I could have a better life out here, even if I was making less money. Yes. It was just about quality of life at that point. So 2 years later, I resigned from my job, and everybody had bets against me. They thought, she'll be back in 3 months. She's not going to last. She'll get over this California thing. She'll be bored. I had my Series 7 and my Series 63 license. My old company kept them active, kept me as an employee, just in case I wanted to come back and, if I changed my mind in 3 months. So I resigned in October, and I'll never forget, in December, they called me and they're like, so is there any chance of you coming back? And I said, you're calling me in the middle of winter while I'm out here playing golf? And I mean, granted, I didn't have a lot of friends or a career or anything here yet, but I knew that this was the lifestyle that I wanted, and that even if it took me 2 or 3 years to get where I wanted to be, this is where I wanted to be.
Yeah, which, that reminds me a lot of myself in a way, because I've never been afraid of the choices I've made. I really don't regret almost anything that I've done in my life. I've built such a good, I trust myself, I trust my instincts. And I feel a lot of people lack that, my ability to not only create, but work my butt off, exactly. Because I tell people, I'm like, this is my biggest advice, not only to young people, but to people that aren't where they want to be. Like, look, get some urgency in your life, and your life is going to change. Because some people, like, they're just kind of walking through life like everything is perfect. I'm like, no, like, you got to move, you got to execute, you got to work harder than everybody, at least in the beginning stages. Oh, yeah. You have to be willing to put in the work, and it's funny because real estate is the only thing I've ever done other than waitress. Like, I didn't go to school. Mm-hmm. I went for literally a day to college. I barely graduated high school. I don't even remember my GPA, to be honest. But I'm like, I know that I'm smart. I know that I pay attention. I know what I need to be, and I want to be successful. I want to be rich. I want to have a maid. I don't want to have to do dishes ever again in my life, because that was a punishment I got as a child. Yeah. Like, oh, you want to go outside, so wash the dishes, And I'm like, damn, like, I hated it. And I wanted to be rich, but I wasn't financially stable, right? Back in the day, because waitressing, you don't make a lot of money. Right. Bartending, you don't make a lot of money. But I always picked up the extra shift, and that's just what you have to do. And like you said, I'm going to make a little bit less money, but, and look at you now, like, you have your husband, which, your wedding was beautiful. Let me see that ring.
And that took a long time to find too. I mean, like I said, I moved here without a boyfriend. Everyone thinks I ran off, I had someone hiding out in California for me. Not the case at all. Yeah. And there were a lot of lonely nights where my girlfriends were back in New York, out with my sister, FaceTiming me. What are you doing? What are you doing? Another thing that's really hard about moving, across country is everyone's in a different time zone. So if I had a bad day and I wanted to call people at 9:00 at night, it's midnight in New York. They're sleeping.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no, and to find quality friends here, which I've now found in you and a lot of other
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
it takes
A
a
lot.
long time.
It really does.
And I think when you have a good heart and when you have good intentions, you expect that from everybody. But in moving out here,
You were like, wait, what is this?
yeah, and in New York, you know, I worked in finance where people don't have time to waste. They're very direct. People are, I think,
Colder.
a lot more just more transparent. Whereas
Yeah.
here,
They're like, okay, they string you along.
yeah, and it blew my mind in my first 2 years of real estate where I was really naive to that and so open to just building my business that I was willing to take a chance on anybody who said, oh, hey, I want to buy a house. And I mean, I'm a tough New Yorker. I'm very street smart, but you know, the good part of me just thought, who would ever waste a real estate agent's time? Like I could never imagine wasting somebody's time in business. But let me tell you, I got my time wasted a lot from 2013 through 15 when I was trying to build, you know, my career here. And that was one of the biggest cultural shocks for me.
Yeah, that's so funny that you say that because I remember, and now, you know, at our company, which is Ambiance Realty, I tell my agents, I'm like, look, if you can avoid wasting so much time because, you know, you want to get the deal, you want to get the deal, but there are people that don't care about anybody else's time but their own.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that time is the most valuable thing we have. We cannot get it back.
Yeah.
So you don't want to waste it ever, right? And I remember like, literally, I used to do open houses Monday through Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
I had no kids.
I've done them.
I would get up, go to the gym, get going to my open house, especially on a listing. I'm like, oh my God, the investor's going to call me. Like, I have to be there when he gets there and all that good stuff, right? Yeah. And I remember how many people wasted my time. And, you know, it kind of sucks, but then it kind of doesn't because you learn.
Oh, yeah. You recognize it so fast after that. And then you get really smart at just cutting those. You run from it.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of like, if you agree with me, or I don't know if you do or don't, but it's like you kind of, it comes with the experience as far as like when you're brand new, but like how fast you catch on is entirely up to you, you know, because I know a lot of people that love to waste time. And I'm like, you don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow, you know?
And Roman and I always say this, you never know. Someone can walk into your open house or a meeting or a showing and you think that that person isn't going to be the buyer or the person that's going to pull it off. And they do. I mean, some people, you have to give them that chance. But I think you have to get very good at figuring out when to, you know, cut that off quickly before 100%. It consumes you.
100%. 100%. It's crazy when I think about these things because I'm like, man, it's amazing how you could take a chance. At least me, now that I have 2 kids. You know, you don't have any. I know you want kids.
I have 2 kids. I have a dog and I have a husband.
Yeah, my bad. She has a husband, which counts as a kid. So technically, I have 4 kids. So Chip, Albert, Italian, Berlin.
So
really,
I admire you. You're the real MVP.
Yeah. So, you know, and I forgot what I was going to say. Wow.
We're talking about the figuring out the time management with the...
Well, that's nice. Right. I totally forgot.
It's okay. I sidetracked you.
No. It's okay. Can we answer questions or no?
There's no questions, but sure you can ask them.
Okay, after. Okay. I just want to make sure it's the same setup because it looks a little different. What else was I saying?
I have one other piece of advice because a lot of people ask me as far as real estate goes.
Well, actually, I do know what I want to ask you. When did you say real estate, or why, or how did it happen?
Real estate, I think I had invested in real estate in New York, sold a place there, invested in California before I moved here, bought a place in 2010. I've been pretty good at figuring out the market based on my finance background and just knowing, you know, what's going on in the world, when it's a good time to buy, when you need to let go of things. I've helped my mom buy places. So I have that from the business side of me. I think what was really appealing about real estate was the idea of having a career with more flexibility, because I came from a 7 to 5 desk slave kind of job where I was scared to miss a day in the office. And I said, if I want to have a family someday, this job isn't going to work for me. Real estate allows you to work from home, to make your schedule the way you kind of want it, to take time off when you want to. It's you know, very entrepreneurial. So that's what appealed to me and brought me into real estate when I moved here.
Yeah, 100%. And it sounds so nice, right? You do your own schedule, you do this and that. At the beginning,
Yeah.
would you agree that it's 24/7?
It is. And I mean, I actually don't mind that.
Me neither.
Because people call me on a Sunday, but then my Monday might be totally free. And, Monday I can pick up and go somewhere cool. Or, I don't mind if I'm doing showings on a Saturday morning when there used to be traffic. I would actually embrace working on the weekends because it was better than trying to do stuff in rush hour. So
100%.
as long as you can make the schedule work for you, I think it's actually a big benefit.
Which I would say is the beauty of being in this industry. You could manage your own schedule. Now, it could be a double sword because there's people that don't know how to manage their time, right? They're like, oh, I'll do it today. Oh, but never mind. I'm going to go for maybe tomorrow or the day after. And I'm just like, no, it doesn't work like that. At the end of the day, there's this that we want to get done. So you can't go and sidetrack. You have to have your schedule and your priorities very straight. And it's funny that you say that Monday, because I'm like, yeah, that's when we're like, oh, let's go to Santa Barbara and let's meet up.
Exactly. Yeah, if you work hard Saturday, Sunday, then
take off Monday
for sure. And it's less crowded. It's easier to go then, and I love that
100%.
part of it.
100%.
But to backtrack, when I first started, I came from a very structured lifestyle. I only knew 9-to-5 jobs before that. So when I got here, the time management, I was terrible at it because someone would call me and they would say, hey, I'm in town. Do you want to have lunch? And I'd go to a lunch for 2 hours and turn it to 4. And,
then whoops.
Yeah. And it's really, really hard to stay focused. I think, especially if you transition from that lifestyle and then you have all of this freedom, you're just so enamored by it. It's so shocking and so refreshing. So I think what's really important if you're getting acclimated to that, have people that you check in with, have a mentor, have a coach. I like to do boxing for my physical fitness. And I like to start my week when gyms were open here. Every Monday I would go boxing at 9 a.m. People complain about Mondays. And I was like, if I just get up and get in that gym at 9 and do this boxing thing, the rest of my day, I'm flying high.
Yeah.
So, it's worth whatever money I pay to go see a trainer. I'm just not one of those people that's disciplined enough to do it on my own. So it's really rewarding for me to schedule things like that keep me in check at this point.
But also I think that everybody, we're all different. And this is what I try to tell people. Focus on yourself. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? What do you have to do? And obviously don't give up at the first sign of resistance or it's not working or it's too hard, because I see that a lot, especially in young people. And I'm like, they're like, oh, now I'm ready to go all in with real estate. And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, show me, because at the end of the day, nobody's going to hold your hand. Nobody's going to be there. You could have mentors and people that can help you, but the job is yours, and nobody can make you do it. It doesn't matter what the job is. A lot of entrepreneurs, I don't think entrepreneurship is for a lot of people, because if you can't excel at a regular job, meaning you're going to go above and beyond, it would be very hard, in my personal opinion, because I've been on both sides, to be uber successful as an entrepreneur, because you have to be a self-starter. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people want to be, but they're not. They're just not. And it's okay. Can you change that? Quite possibly. Is it going to take all the discipline in the world? Absolutely.
And time.
Because none of this happens overnight. Like, how long did it take you to make some real money in real estate?
3 years. Right. And my first sale was a $200,000 condo. Some people ask me, where do you even buy real estate in Los Angeles for $200,000? That was my first deal. Someone trusted me enough to help him with that for an investment. And I took it. I said, sure. I'm just so happy that someone trusts me. I had my license for all of a month and I got through that deal. And then I sold him another condo. My biggest biggest sale as far as my career goes was last year. It was a $13.7 million sale. Yay. So I've come a long way, but that was 2013 through 19 to get there. And that same client, I sold condos for him. I did smaller deals. I did a $6 million deal for him. And it was that willingness to take on the smaller things that differentiated me. And then I worked my way up to a big team with a big name and a big brand. And then he trusted us to sell his, really expensive home. So it's a process.
It is a process. And also it's really with the intention of helping the actual client, because yes, money is a byproduct, but you also have to have a good customer service sense. Because my first client, it's so funny. It's a crazy story. So it's in South Central LA somewhere, right? It was $135,000. And this guy came to me and he's like, Syl, he's like, nobody takes me serious. I qualify for like something crazy, like 145. And I'm like, oh, I'm like new. I'm like, yeah, no, we can do this. And I'm the type of person that if I have to hit that wall 50 times to get through it, I will hit it 50 times. And I know people after 2 times, they're like, okay, I'm done.
Out.
And me, I think we submitted like something like crazy because obviously, if it's that low price point, even back when I started in real estate, which was a long time ago, I was about 22, there was nothing that cheap. And when it was, investors would take it up
snatch
cash.
them up.
Yeah. So we actually got the property 2 months after it went into escrow because we got outbid as a cash offer. And my client tells me, he's like, Sylvia, I dreamt about this house. He's like, this house is for me. It's actually by USC. So now it's worth a lot. Yeah. And now it's rented out. And moral of the story is this client worked at Kaiser. He referred me so many clients that you would never believe. And I'm talking back in the day, it was 500,000, 700K. So never put your customer service, money on it because you don't know what's going to come from it, and I'm telling you, I still know this guy. He's amazing. Great guy, but that's all he qualified for. And it wasn't because he didn't make enough money. It was because his debt was so bad because he went through a rough chapter in his life, and he was still a good person, and why put like, oh, I'm not going to make enough money. I know a lot of realtors like that.
Oh yeah.
Which I get it. Money's important, but it's not the most important part because the relationship, I would say, in my personal opinion, is the most important part.
And I think any transaction that you do, if it's a lease, if it's, a small condo deal or a big home, you treat it the same way because that person will refer you business. It helps you grow. Something that I didn't do early on in my career was ask people to write reviews for me. And now I'm doing it. And I feel funny to ask people because I don't like asking people for things. But it's like when people Google you, which they do, you want to have a really, really strong profile. So I've closed 2 sales in the last 2 months, and I'm asking these clients to write me reviews. And you know what? If you do a great job, they love writing a review. They feel like they want to give something back to you. I've done it for anybody, the person who sold me my wedding dress to anyone, the guy who fixes my car at the body shop. If they do a great job, they deserve the credit. And what does it take you?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. But, I just I didn't like to ask people for that until I realized how important it was. And so that's something that I'm focusing on this year as part of my business is just, you can control the message. People will Google you. So
and now everybody Googles everyone and everything.
And you can totally control it. I mean, this podcast will appear on Google for me, right? So you can totally control the message and what people are seeing. So why not take advantage of that? And, again, if you're doing a small real estate deal that maybe doesn't pay you a lot, there's ways that you can still really see a good benefit from it. And I think that's really 100%. Important, especially for new agents. It's a game changer to have those kind of reviews that just speak volumes about your work ethic.
I completely agree with that. And that people always look at and they're like, okay, Even now, everything I do, I'm like, okay, let me go look and see.
100%. Yeah. If I go get my nails done, I'm on Yelp. Like, are they okay? Yeah. And you have to take everything with a grain of salt because there's always people out there that complain and, whatever. But I think if their first impression of you is great, whether it's a positive review or just reading your bio and there's something they connect with you on, it just makes people gravitate towards you. So it's so powerful and everybody should be using that to their advantage.
I completely agree. So in about like 2 minutes, I just want to touch on one more thing. In about 2 minutes, we're going to answer some questions. If it's a good question, Steph's going to kind of sort them out. We're going to give you $100 because, we want to help you out with whatever it is that you need. Make sure it's a good question, either for her, for me, or in general. And however we can help you guys, this is why we do what we do. And we really want to grow the driven ladies side because I feel a lot of the times women, you feel like a little, I mean, not me in general, but I know a lot of women do, which I didn't know this was a problem. They're like, oh no, women can't get to that position. I'm like, yeah, we can. We
Of
can
course
get
you
anywhere. We're actually
Yeah.
way smarter. Just kidding. But anyway, okay. So ever once, or I'm sure it was a couple, did you ever feel like, man, did I make the right choice by coming here, or never? Did you doubt your decision?
In my first year, I had nights where like I said, I was alone in my apartment. I literally didn't have a single person I could call because everyone in New York was sleeping. I have a big support system, great family, friends back there, but time difference, it made it hard. And I had a hard time finding quality friends. And my two careers in the past just kind of came very naturally and easily for me. And I was making money at both of them, and I had a steady paycheck. I had health benefits. And then I'm here and I'm like, okay, I'm living on savings, which were okay, but they're going to run out at some point.
Exactly.
And like, I went on a date with this guy. He's such a loser. This guy told me that he's going to buy a house for me, and he's just trying to hook up with me. Like, what the hell am I doing? I could be in New York with my family and my friends. Like, fuck. Sorry for the language, but man, like, yes, I had those moments. So for the first year, I think it's very hard if you move or change careers, and you have to just accept that and find ways to feel good about yourself. My first year that I moved here, I had a lot of downtime. I volunteered with the LA Mission one day a week. I took my fitness to another level. After years of sitting at a desk, I said, okay, 5 days a week, I'm going to do a different activity every day. I did yoga one day. I taught myself how to play. I took golf lessons. I played tennis, things I could never do in New York. I said, this is the time to do it. And I did that, and it got me through that transitional phase.
Yeah, which I can totally see that. And I think that for a lot of people, it's hard to, I think it takes a lot of work to reinvent yourself, as far as not only taking a chance on yourself, but saying, this isn't what I want, and I'm just going to take a chance. Like, if I fall or if all else fails, I mean, as long as you have your life, you're good, because that's something that we don't know how long we're going to be here. But like, you should always be able to trust yourself, and I'm just good at it, but I know people aren't, and I just want people to know that you should believe in your ability, believe in your willingness. I see Diana to just go all in. Like, you don't like that, okay, then let's try something else, but make sure you go all in and you put in the work. And this applies to anything. I have way too many people that I know that are in a horrible relationship, whether it's a marriage or it's whatever it may be. You don't want to answer this friend. It's happened to me, and it's funny because Albert, how Albert is, he's so extreme and he's so extra, but everything I've never met anybody like my husband. It's crazy. Like, we just make such a good team. Kind of like you and Roman. You complement each other. And look at, there he is. Hi, Roman. And you complement each other, and you just accept each other, and you grow together. And like, for example, Albert, he'd be like, why do you still talk to that person?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel obligated to answer these questions and pick up the call, because if I don't pick up the call, I know she's going to be pissed. And that's just so toxic.
Yeah. And I struggled with cutting out the toxic people, the toxic relationships. Like I said, I moved here on my own, and you're lonely and you want to make friends, and someone introduces you to someone and you go have drinks with them, and you take those chances. But like you said, they're energy vampires. They just take more from you, and you spend so much time giving because that's the kind of person that you are, and you feel like you have to answer their call and try to help them. But the quicker you can identify those people and cut out the toxic relationships. Also, as far as what you were saying before, it's when you take a chance and you rebuild your life and start a new career, there's so many naysayers. When I moved here, I was taking acting classes because I loved it. It brought out the creative side of me. It was fun. I did a few movies. I got my SAG card. I loved it. And people in New York were like, you're 30 years old trying to be an actress? Like, and I'm just thinking, like, they're putting me down, but they're sitting at a desk miserable, and I'm having the time of my life in my acting class, just humbling myself with all these talented people that, I just tapped into my creative side, and it was very refreshing for me. But you have to have thick skin, because, I mean, even now,
people suck.
They suck. And YouTube, when this video gets posted, there'll be somebody, a keyboard warrior sitting at home writing some nasty stuff about us. And you have to just, just let it go, because
you gotta let it slide off.
Yeah,
You know, my husband and I remember, like, I was like so nervous. I told her, oh, I hope she's nice, you know, because I always give people because, you know, it's society and expectations, and everybody's like so judgmental. And I'm like, why don't you just worry about your own damn life? Like, who cares?
I don't have time to worry about what anyone else is doing.
Yeah.
It's about bettering yourself and
being happy, really, truly happy.
Yeah. And I mean, even if I stumbled on someone's YouTube page and I didn't like their message or what they were doing, I leave. I don't sit and write something negative, because it's so
my besties right there.
It's just not the right mindset to have. And so when those people do that to you or bring that into your life, you just wish them well and move on. 100%. And that's it. And
100%. So if any of you guys have any questions to ask us, can you just post them, and then Steph will take care of it? Does Roman want to say something? I think he does. Where's Roman? Put Roman on. He's one of the smartest, nicest guys I've ever met. Really. Albert and I. How do you unmute him, Steph?
He unmutes him. He
I don't even know if
you're muted, Roman. Take it off mute.
How do we take it off mute?
He has to do it, I think. Unmute yourself.
Say something to us, Roman.
He's one of the most talented home builders in LA, but he's not very tech savvy.
Oh, he's coming like me.
Oh, there you go.
Hi.
Am I off?
Yeah. What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Everyone can hear you. Be careful what you say.
Could you hear me before or no?
No.
Oh, you couldn't hear me before. Okay.
No.
Good. Look who's here. It's Kay. Hi. How are you?
Hi. How's it going?
Look at that. Look what we're doing here, you guys. Look at this pool.
Sick. Wow.
This is Pharrell's old house that we're remodeling for the Kingpin K over here.
Woo!
I can't wait to see it.
And look what we started on. The most important part of the house is what we started with. I'll show you.
The bar.
You guessed it, baby. You guessed it.
Woo! I told you guys, the bar is the most important part of a house.
You're on television live.
So awesome.
This is the bar. Look at the view in the bar.
Sick. So amazing.
Yeah. The house is already amazing. Crazy. It's going to be next level when Roman's
Roman.
done.
Yeah.
Tell me two things in 2.5 minutes.
What?
So your biggest tip for our people here to not only be successful, be a better person, but be genuinely happy, because a lot of people, even if they make a lot of money, they might not be extremely, truly happy. And the most amazing thing about your beautiful wife, your favorite thing about her.
My favorite thing about her is everything about her. That's beautiful, cool, talented. She checks all the boxes. That is a true 10 that you are all looking at right there. So yeah, lucky me.
Now, one tip for our viewers as far as being happy, successful, and I know you've been through a lot.
This is going to sound a little morbid, but I've had a lot of friends that have passed away. So I've kind of looked at my life like, I live my life like, what if I was going to die next month? What would I do this month differently if I didn't think I was going to live forever? So I kind of live like I have stage 4 cancer. Like, what would I do? It's almost like my whole life is a bucket list. And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So I don't have time, for lousy people or shitty events. I just keep moving.
Yeah.
It's like you're a balloon sailing up to the clouds, and if there's something weighing you down, you pull out your knife, you cut the rope, and goodbye.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself.
It's been the theme of the night. Cut the toxic people out fast. Identify and cut.
Yep. Okay, but thank you. We love you. We're going to get back to Driven Ladies.
Love you guys too. Bye.
Thanks for the cameo.
He's so awesome.
On ladies' night.
Yeah, I've never actually, I was telling Albert, I'm like, I feel like the most successful people that are truly happy are the nicest. Because I know a lot of shitty people, and I'm like, why do you talk to people like that?
Oh, yeah.
I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how successful you are. And whatever's inside comes out.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say, money simply enhances whatever you already are. So if you're a douchebag, you're going to be a douchebag with a lot of money. So always, I treat everybody the same. Everyone. Like, I don't care who you are, where you come from. I don't care.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that day that we met up with you in Santa Barbara, remember we were having dinner?
100%. I remember exactly the day and the night and our conversations.
And I told Albert, I'm like, oh my God. Obviously there's always the couple talk. Like, oh, do we like that couple or not? And I told him, I'm like, she's so nice. Because obviously TV's one thing, and you, like you said, you had a few... You came on the show a few times, and I obviously watched it because I'm the type of person that whatever I do, I want to be the best at.
Yeah.
So I'll watch every show. I'll read every book. I actually read my RPAs, not like a lot of people that are brand new. And I'm like, you don't even bother reading the RPAs. So then how do you... Right? When you're new, you have a lot of extra time.
And that's the residential purchase agreement in real estate, which is a very long, if you're a realtor, it's very long, but one mistake, one unchecked box on that can cost you and your clients a fortune. So,
and your broker.
Make sure that the agent you work with is actually reading those or has somebody reading them that has your back, because it's dangerous territory if they're not.
100%. And again, so just be a good human. There's a lot of shitty ones. I always say this, and you don't want to be another one, because people will, you get what you put out, and that's what I tell Albert. I'm like, we've always been good people.
Yes.
Do we expect a lot? Absolutely, because I have high expectations. But where I'm going,
you bring a lot. You expect a lot, but you bring a lot to all the people in your life. I mean, we texted you. We became close in July this summer through our mutual friend Rob Luna. So good people attract good people, and Rob brought Sylvia and Albert to us, and they joined us in this weekend getaway on a Sunday, Monday. Like we said, we were all, taking a day off from work, and we were still working. But I mean, we were up there together, and we just kind of combined forces. And from that 1 July outing, we turned it into a vacation, into your driven event, into wedding, into sitting here. And so we just kind of grew our friendship based on a circle of good people, right? And that's, like you said, you just kind of connect with people because you say, okay, wow, they've built all of this, but they're so genuine. They're like us. They want the same things. And like when you ask us to show up at Driven the weekend before my wedding, we show up.
You're like okay,
when we put a wedding together on 30-day notice, you show up. And not just show up.
I mean, a flower girl who's still in love with her dress.
Oh,
that girl will not take it off. I just can't with her. But again, good attracts good.
Yeah.
And if you're good, the universe will give you that, and I even know people even now that are close in my circle. I'm like, no, you're messing up. And no matter, people they won't come around until they're ready, and like, I can give you all the tools, all the information, but it's up to you. And that's why pay attention. Who are you listening to? Who are you around? Do you want to be like that person? If they're negative and talking crap about other people all day, then what does that tell you?
Oh yeah, no.
That they're
shake
miserable.
it off. Just shake it off.
Don't cut them off.
Don't respond. It weighs on you more than I didn't realize how much it affects your day to day until the last 2 to 3 years. And now I've gotten really good at identifying those things and letting go of them. But
I'm just like, oh, okay, bye. Yeah. Swerve.
Because they'll just keep texting you and dragging you down the rabbit hole. Before you know it, you're like, ooh.
Yeah, exactly. Steph, what was the questions?
First question is from Jacob Valdilon.
Where's Jacob? Hi. Unmute.
Oh, I'm going to mute? Oh, perfect. Oh, actually, I have a couple questions. How are you, Joanna? How are you, Syl?
Hi.
So my first question was, when did you start seeing yourself build momentum early in your career?
This one's for me, right?
Yes.
So I started in 2013. That's the year I got licensed. I worked for Keller Williams, which was a great brokerage as far as training goes. They have an amazing training program, which is what I needed because I was new to California. I barely knew the areas. It was a learning, experience for me at that point. from Keller Williams, I moved on to the Oppenheim Group, which is on that Selling Sunset show, which I was not a part of. I left the team before, that whole
That
thing
happened.
took up. But that was another great learning experience. So I would say when I aligned myself with the Oppenheim Group, I started learning more, and it was definitely an advancement for me as far as my career goes. It wasn't 100% the right fit, but I love Jason, the broker there. I have a great professional relationship with him. He's an attorney, a general contractor. He's brilliant. I learned so much about contracts from him. So I took a lot away from that experience, but it wasn't the 100% right fit for me. So 2015, I started seeing an improvement in my business, but I wasn't exactly where I wanted to be. I left Jason in 2017 for Douglas Elliman, which is where I am now. I started on my own at Douglas Elliman. I used to partner up with Josh and Matt Altman because I liked them. I liked their brand. I would just split my commission 50-50 to have that affiliation with them. After 2 or 3 successful deals with them, they asked me to join the team, which made a lot of sense for me. But somewhere between 2015 and 17 was really where I gained momentum in real estate after getting licensed in 2013.
Wow, nice. Thank you. And then the following question to that is, you said you moved all the way from New York. I remember talking to Driven. For me, I just moved in my own place, right? So I'm kind of spreading my wings now, and mom and dad are in Texas. So for you, it's like I could run back home, but I'm trying to find my new inner peace. How would you find your peace moving in and just being by yourself for the first time?
I touched on some of it earlier, but I'll expand on it. I took up things that I could never do in New York. So basically, in New York, it was almost impossible to get on a tennis court or play golf. And I had more time on my hands. I really wanted to volunteer and give back and feel good about myself. So I worked those things into my daily routine. And for me, honestly, just being able to watch a TV program or cook or like do normal things felt so good, because when you're working 7 to 5 and going to a client dinner and drinking until 1 o'clock in the morning, I don't do drugs. I'm very anti-drugs. Sometimes I've never done a drug in my life. I've actually never even smoked weed. No judgment if you do, but I've never done it. But I mean, I used to go out until 3 in the morning as part of my business and be at my desk every day at 6:30. There's only one time in my 5-year career that I got to work at 8:30 a.m. And my office literally called my mom, my brother, the FBI. I mean, they were worried about me.
That's work ethic. You know, and it's, see, Jinx. That's work ethic.
I slapped through the alarm, and I mean, it's
so crazy that you say that, because same for me. You know, Jacob, I'm sure you already know this because he's part of our company and he's amazing. Literally, like, I always tell people, nobody made you do it. You knew what you had to do the next day.
Yeah.
So for you to be like, oh, I'm just going to call in because I'm hungover is completely irresponsible. There's no work ethic, no accountability. And I think that sets you up your whole life to lose.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had a friend like that. She was actually my best friend, you know, and everywhere I worked, I got her a job. One time I got fired because of her. And I'm like, how does this make sense? Oh, well, you guys got hired together.
They associated you with
So you got to go. You know, and me, if I felt like crap, if I was hungover, you know, I have done smoked weed in my life, and you know, one time I did ecstasy, and I'll touch on this because I know a lot of people don't say the truth about their life.
And hey, it's just being real. Yeah, I used to drink tequila till 3 in the morning. Like, tequila was my drug, but I showed up at work every single day. So it just, to go back to your question, for me, just staying at home and watching TV was a novelty, because in New York, I
couldn't do that.
I couldn't do it. It was like TV or go to dinner with my biggest client who's going to pay me a lot of money the next day. I'm going to take the client all day long. And, you know, Game of Thrones and all those shows, I never saw them. Like, they didn't, I watched them in, like, I watched Breaking Bad in, I don't know, 2019.
Like 5 years later.
Yeah.
Same with me, you know, because I always have, like, I'm like, whatever's going to get me the money. Yeah. I'm going to pick up the extra shift, whatever. But so one time, I remember, so my best friend at the time, who was extreme horrible work ethic, like, I'll be honest, you know, because it was, and I would tell her, you can't do this. Like, if you call in, that means that I have to do your job too. And in a waitressing world, I have to pick up your tables, things like that, you know. And I remember one time we went to a rave, you know, it was the first time I ever did ecstasy, and I was like, I've done it twice in my whole life, and then that's it, you know. And I'm not ashamed to say it, because I know a lot of people are like, I've never done drugs, and they're the biggest druggies,
right?
You know. And if I can help you, I was never addicted. Like, I'm actually very cautious, and I don't like losing control. Drinking is my only
I
thing
can't
that
picture you.
girl, it was
Yeah.
awful. But anyway, so I'm like, fuck, I couldn't sleep, and I'm laying there and I'm like, oh my God, I have work tomorrow. Like, I was so
Yeah.
scared. And I show up to work, I'm still like messed up. Like, I still felt weird, and I was like, oh, what did I do? You know, but I showed up to work. I picked up all the tables, you know, I happened to just have the whole section to myself, and I'm like, man. But you know what? I committed. I actually showed up, and
Yeah.
I just got it done.
That's it.
You know,
You
and
get
I'm
through
not,
it. That's it.
you get through it, you know, but most people are like, I'm not gonna go. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well then good luck with the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a habit, it's a reality, and I think it's a big problem right now in the world. It's so easy to just be lazy.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that, because if you want to be very successful, you have to put in the work, you got to show up. I always say you got to get up, you got to dress up, and you got to make things happen, to say the least.
Yeah.
But Steph, thank you, Jacob. Is there any other question?
For you, real quick, can I ask you, Syl?
Yeah.
Um, 12 years ago, this was all in the making, right? Everything that's in your life now, is it better than you imagined? Or, because I'm trying to think my life in 12 years, how is life now? And did you ever imagine all the success?
So you're very, very young, and always put work first. You don't have kids. Right now, you could show up, you can get up, you could do everything. The only thing that can stop you is yourself. Now, me, I always knew that I was going to be super successful. You can ask my brothers, you can ask my grandma, you can ask my mom. You know, my mom is actually here right now. I always said, because I watched a lot of soap operas, novelas with my grandma. So I always told her, I want to be super rich. Like, I want to have a maid to wash my dishes. Now I have a housekeeper. I don't like to call her a maid because she's amazing and she's the best. She's full-time. I love her. And it's not like, I'll make my bed if I absolutely have to. But I always tell people, if you're really young and you have not a lot to do and you can't even make your bed, to me, that's like the first thing in the morning. You get up, you know, and I'm teaching my kids the same thing, because being lazy is not a good thing. It kind of like does all the building blocks of your life, your career. You get what I'm saying, right? I don't know exactly how to explain it, but if you can't even make your bed first thing in the morning, then we might have bigger problems further on in life. And I'm sure, Jacob, because you're fairly young, I always tell people, me, even when I lived with my mom, I did my own laundry.
Me too.
I washed my dishes. I didn't expect anybody to clean up after me. And I feel like that's a big problem right now, especially in the world that we live in, that social media makes it seem like it's so easy to be an entrepreneur and blah, blah, blah. No, it's going to take everything that you have. And you do have to prioritize work. You have to build until you get to a point, because every level of your life, and I know you can agree with this, takes a different you. So you get better, you get smarter, you learn how to execute better. You just get better, you know, and it's not going to get easier, because I did imagine this. I didn't know how, or like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know how great it would be. And this is only literally like the beginning, because it's been 12 years.
Yeah, and I don't think that anybody, life has so many twists and turns. So when I was going to college in the
100%.
Bronx in New York, I was a true New Yorker. I had a mean New York accent, which I hide now.
I love it. She's so hot.
But back then, oh my goodness, number, call me. I mean, that was me.
Number.
And I owned it. I'm like, I live in New York. What do you do? This is my state. You have an accent? I don't have an accent.
And her mom is the coolest, by the way.
My dad, he owns an auto body shop in Brooklyn. He's, you know, as Brooklyn as it gets. We take a lot of pride in our New Yorkness. But when I grew up in New York City, all I knew was New York. I thought it was the greatest city in the world. I never thought I'd live in California. I thought I'd be a lawyer married in Westchester with like 2 kids by now. That was like my 20-year-old vision of me, right? And you take life and the twists and the turns and you just make the best of it. I mean, I don't think anybody with COVID expected us to be sitting here with everything going on right now. So you have to position yourself where things get thrown at you and you can adapt, and it's like make the best of it. Just don't sit in the COVID rut, which is what everybody's going through right now. And there's days where you put on the news and you leave it on for more than an hour. I mean, even if you have the best mindset, you're going down a bad path. So if I watch any TV while I'm doing my work from home or whatever, it's CNBC because I invest in stocks and it's smarter. I learn about the markets. I take more from that than this depressing news of how many deaths and this state's the worst state. And you need to know what's going on. I watch the news, yes, but I don't let it consume me. So you have to really be able to adapt to things. And like my Italian grandparents always say, prepare for a rainy day, save money. Nobody expected 2020 to turn out the way that it did, but if you're positioned to adapt to those kind of changes, then you're going to survive it a lot better than most people.
Well, it's setting up yourself up to win. That's
Yeah.
it, and preparing, like she said, for a rainy day. I don't like to say that, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
Like if you spend your 80 grand that you make in a year, well, then what happens next year if you
Right.
have no ability to make money? For us, as far as Albert and I go, our business and everything, we haven't really been affected at all. Again, it's a new year, we just simply choose to focus on the positive.
Exactly.
And we don't let, like, the news, like, I feel like it just scares the crap out of you,
Yeah.
and it's so sad. I've never heard one positive thing on the news.
Or
ever.
it's like they don't even try to mix the positive in. Like, okay, we have this bad story we need to report, but let's uplift people with it. It's just bad, 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 bad.
Yeah.
Like, I just turned it off in our household. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning, I read the news sources that I choose to read,
Yeah.
which are the ones that I find intellectually stimulating, if it's the Wall Street Journal or whatever. But I just try to cut out the ones that are going to take you down that bad rabbit hole.
100%, 100%. So, Jacob, Mike, does anybody have another question? Hi. He's my bestie.
Hey guys, how are you guys?
Good, how are you?
Good, miss you guys. You guys look amazing, just saying. And I only have this on because I haven't got ready yet. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pretend.
I do that too.
to my advantage.
Yeah, like don't tell anybody, but
The hat and the mask it's the ultimate disguise when you really
right. I could go to Target, nobody will know who I am. But no, okay, so my question, and I know this is for both of you guys, and I know I hang out with you all the time, sillies, but sometimes I don't get to ask you this question. So Joanne, maybe I'll start with you. And so, I know there's a lot more work that needs to be done for both of you guys. I know you guys still are we're going to be working, for so many years to come, but at the same time, I do feel like maybe you guys have made it. I could say to a point, right? Like you could literally say, I've made it, I'm strong, I've did so much, even though I know there's so much more you have to do. What excites you for the future? Like what is the main thing that excites you to just keep going for the future? Like, what are your visions? What excites you?
Do you want to go first? I can go first.
Yeah,
so you can
go for it.
So for me, Mike, it's literally changing people's lives because I'm naturally a giver. I'm the oldest of 5. I've always been that person that I had to figure out how I was going to take care of my brothers and my sisters. And I mean that to the fullest of the extent that now as a mom, I asked my mom, I'm like, how did it feel to leave a 12-year-old with all your kids? Because there was no option of her not working. None. Zero. And to me, I'm like, I'm so anal about my kids. So anal. I'm like, if something happens to them, anybody touches them, you will die. I will personally make sure you die. So she tells me, she's like, Syl, there was no other option. And now I think about things you see the pool behind me, getting swimming lessons for my kids, things like that. But I'm like, what about leaving us in an apartment knowing that we're going to go swimming? I don't know how I didn't drown my brothers and my sisters. Literally, I taught 2 of them how to swim.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and she's like, there was no other option. Yeah. So to me, it's giving people the information that they need to change their life, whatever that looks like. Everybody's different. There's people that need a 9-to-5 and it's okay. If you make $250,000, $200K, $300K, you can have a good life. Everybody is different. See, I have a husband who is absolutely insane. He is fucking crazy, to say the least. I've never met anybody like him. I'm so in love with him. I'm like, sometimes I look at him, today we're FaceTiming and I see his happiness. He's like, Syl, I'm hanging out with Bobby. And he's that person that will be in a room. He will look for the biggest fish and not detach. And I know you know that.
Yeah,
He's right there. like this, like a student. And
we watch him from our couch sometimes. I know some of you guys do too. I'm tired just watch. I'm like Roman. Albert just ran like 3 miles today, and he's Instagramming. And he woke up this morning in LA, and now he's in South Beach, and he's inspiring all these people. And we're just here watching Netflix. It's okay too, guys.
It's okay too, right? Everybody has a different purpose, and Albert gives people that hope.
Yeah.
And see, I give him the structure, and he's just crazy, but like he's so much nicer than I am. Like me, I'm like, F that person, they did this and they did that, and then you can't be that dumb to do this and that over and over. And he's like, Syl, well, maybe. I'm like, no, dude, no, maybe. Like, we're done with that person. I'm over it. Because I have, I know how valuable my time is. And I love, like, when you and Eli do good, or when you're like, hey, I took my kids here for the first time, and it's been 12 years since we took a vacation. Like, that makes me so happy, and again, I'm a giver. So, but then I have a very low tolerance for BS. It's very low. Or if you're an asshole and you treat my people bad, and then you come and tell me, you've seen it. Or you come and look at me like, oh.
If you hang out with Syl, you've seen it. And it's not a bad thing. She wants people to do better. And some people might read that the wrong way, but her standards are so high because she delivers on that. That's
I'm like, if I can do it, you can do it. Like, if you think you can't, well, let me tell you that you could.
Yeah.
And it's a mindset thing. My mindset is super strong, because of so many different things. We don't even want to touch those subjects. But like, literally, like, I've been through so much. And I'm like, if I can chase this for 4 years and get it done, and I'm talking following up every other week, you can do it. Because I know you're not going to have that many obstacles, and most people sell themselves short. Yeah. Meaning you just stop right there because, you got a little hard. So you want to just be miserable your whole life. And then it's okay, be miserable. Like, go sit in a square by yourself. But like, don't bash other people for following their dreams, But so me, it's changing people's lives. It really is. Yeah. Whether it's a client, somebody that works for the company, or partners like you guys, like, I don't care. Like, if you're putting in the work, like, hey, I'm happy, I'm rooting for you, but I'm not going to tolerate nonsense or bullshit or carelessness because I know what it takes. I've been there. And I don't ever condone like people treating other people bad. That drives me crazy. Yeah. I'm like, you're not better. I don't care how much money you have. No. You don't treat people bad. Because that's why your life sucks. Because you suck too. But right? What about you? So what about you?
I think for me, I'm at a great place in my career, finally. Years of building to get there. We just filmed for $1 Million Listing. You'll see me on season 12, I think the season premiere. So that's exciting because I kind of get to combine my, what I like, which is TV and film stuff with my real estate. So that's a great way to, have all my efforts come together. But what's next is hopefully, Roman and I have a family. We have a little girl like Italia.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I know it's a baby. I know it is.
And then I'm going to be calling Syl to say, how do you do it? I mean, some days I wake up and the dog and the husband and the job, it's like, wow, how did I get everything done today? But I mean, imagine having two babies on top of that. So I admire you. And that's hopefully the next, level. And
like, that's so exciting. That's amazing. That's like future for sure. I love it. I'm so inspired. I have the chills. So thank you guys.
Well, Mike, I'm gonna throw you on the spot real fast. Do we have another question after this? Mike, really quick. He like, and this is my process of thought. Like, commit first, figure it out later, right? But he's like, I would love to have a baby, right? Him and his partner. And I'm like, well, fucking do it. Yeah. Like, are you gonna die and not have your own baby? Yeah. Because, his partner has 2 kids, which are his kids. He's basically the mom. And I'm like, remember we had this conversation. I'm like, dude, make a lot of money and have your goddamn baby. Like, it's not that hard. People create their own boundaries and their own BS, but I'm like, just do it. Like, what are you complaining about? Sell an extra 10 houses. Go make your baby. Like, I'll be the donor.
I know you can do that. We talked at their last party. You can do it.
Okay, one of you guys will help me.
Yeah, we're putting it out there in the universe.
That's like the best advice ever, and I'm gonna make the jump. So love you guys so much.
Okay, other question?
Nancy Bibar.
Nancy?
Hi, ladies.
Hi,
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you so much for this. My question is, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, in those first years when everything was like starting to get together and you were having a lot of no's, as you know, as an entrepreneur, you get a lot of no's before the yes. How did you keep yourself motivated to not give up and not quit, or like on those rough nights when you were sitting home alone and you're like, oh my God, do I want to deal with this one more time? How did you keep yourself going?
You go first and then I'll go.
I was very committed to California. I knew, like I said, in 2010, 2 years before I moved here, this is where I want to be for my mental health, well-being. I just remember I had a day in March 2010 where New York was 10 degrees and I was on a beach, Manhattan Beach, just like, wow, this place is magical. Then I was in Laguna Beach in January a year later. There's dolphins swimming. I took it as another sign from the universe as I got back to New York off a red-eye flight. I used to take the JetBlue red-eye flight and go to work. I would spend Sunday nights in San Diego. I would get on the 7 or the 9 p.m. red-eye and go straight to work the next day. And I just, as I went to work tired and cold, I'm like, there has to be a better way to do this. And once I got here, as hard as it was, and if the nights were kind of depressing or whatever, I would wake up in the morning and be like, Los Angeles is so beautiful that I had the mindset like you talked about, where no matter what I was facing the day before, the next morning I was like, okay, I can fix this. I can go do yoga. I can go volunteer. I can fly to New York and see my family, which I did a lot in the beginning. I just got on a plane and I went there every 2 months to get my fix. I would go see my grandparents who keep me grounded. I would see my mom and dad. I would just, like, family is so important. And I would just take, whatever flight to, if I didn't have stuff going on because I wasn't working that much, I just took the flight and went home. I refreshed. And every day when I took the plane back to LA, I know a lot of people say this when they fly back to LA, there's just something about coming into LAX where you're like, this is home. Like, Jackson Hole was fun this summer. New York is fun for a weekend. Florida, we contemplated moving there. Yeah. There's something about California for me that I just love. I love that I could be here. I can do this with you, with the sunset, with the view. We could drive to Santa Barbara. We could go to Big Bear. We can go.
And we're planning her birthday party.
So I never had the mindset where I got stuck in a rut. I had moments, and then the next day it was like, how do we fix this?
Yeah.
And luckily for me, New York to LA, so many people go back and forth. So I had a constant influx of friends. So I at least had some people coming in that were just comfortable and made me feel good in between some of the people that I had to weed out. And so 2-3 years later, I figured out a little circle of friends here. And then I would just go back to New York for my family and my friends there. But I just had enough here to keep me in a good mindset.
Yeah. See, and for me, I just, like she said, I would quit. And I remember vividly sitting in my car, bawling my eyes out, because my only 2 escrows were falling out of escrow. Oh, yeah. And I only had freaking $20 to put gas in my car. And again, believing in yourself, having a good support system, because Albert would be like, it's okay. I remember he was playing basketball. Omar, his brother, if he's still there, he probably remembers this, because I remember crying and he was playing basketball with him. And I'm like, my escrows. And I'm like, I quit. And when I quit, it's literally for like a few hours or the day. And then tomorrow I know what I got to do. Yeah. And I get up and I go. So being clear on your goals, I think, would be the key. Meaning, where you're going and what you need to do, because people fall short of what they need to do and they think it's going to magically fall out of the sky and you're just going to get everything you want. And it's not a reality, because even now, me and Albert, I'm like, damn, I tell him, does it ever get easier? He's like, no, Syl, get ready. He's like, because we're only going, we just made a huge hire in the company, which I'm like, I yet to have to find somebody that works harder than me. And I'm not saying that because I think I'm better than anybody. I say that because I literally do not stop until I get it done. And I'm in everything, which could be a bad thing, but I see everything and I know everything that needs to get done. And I'm like, can I just have that person that's just going to take that and be 10 times better than me? I'm okay with that. Like, here you go, bye. But it's life, and I also think it depends on your goals and dreams and, your why. You know, my kids now, I've never in my whole life looked forward to a weekend ever. And waitressing, restaurant, you know, only thing I ever knew before real estate, even real estate, weekends are required. They're very important, actually. I've never, ever in my life been like, oh, I can't wait till Saturday and Sunday, ever. Until like recently, because my life is so crazy and it's nonstop. Wait till you have a kid. But you know, you just get it done. You get it done. That's it. You know, and have that strong mindset and have your priorities right and say, this is what I'm gonna do and follow through. Most people don't. They fall short. And that's why they're in a rut. And I'm like, well, stick to what you say you're gonna do.
And another thing that's really important is everybody's so quick on social media to just post the good things. What I love about you and Albert is
we post everything.
It's 24/7. If you subscribe, if you follow, it's the good, it's the bad, it's
everything.
It's everything. And these people with these curated Instagrams, filtered, perfect, it's not real. It's not appealing. People
Nobody
follow
cares.
them, but I don't know. I don't buy into it. And an example of this is like I just closed a sale this week, 2.5 million. I started it that weekend that I hung out with you in July.
I think I remember it.
And I was putting it on the MLS from our weekend getaway. And I thought, this is a great property. It's priced well. We're going to sell it in a heartbeat. And my client said to me, can I keep the tenant there because I'll make extra money while the tenant's there? And I said, sure, because who's going to tell their client not to make extra money?
Of course.
So we took a gamble and we kept a client there. And we didn't stage the property, which helped sell it. And, you know, fast forward to me doing showings 3 times a week, we didn't get any offers. And now it's October and the tenant wants to extend his lease. And I said to my client, do you want to sell the place or do you want to keep a tenant there? Whatever you want to do,
I'm okay with.
I stand behind it. But if you want to sell it, the tenant's got to go and we have to stage it. My client said, I don't want to pay for staging. So I said, okay, let me think about this, you know, realistically. I can try to sell this place without staging, not going to work. Or I can invest the money in staging myself, not cheap, and take that chance. So it's a calculated risk, right? Because I'm putting out the money. I might not, you know, real estate, people think, oh, these realtors make all this money. Realtors are 1099 self-employed people that spend money on their marketing, on their everything. There's no one helping you, right? So you're paying a lot before you take anything back in. So I pay for the staging. The home within 2 weeks of staging gets an offer. We close this week. But the Instagram post doesn't tell you the story of me working on it, showing it from July. Long. People were like, oh, I want to sell a house for 2.5. She's making great money. Well, I paid for the staging. I paid for the marketing. I paid for all of these things that are a great investment in my business. But if you just go off Instagram and think this person has an easier life or this person, it comes easy and I want what they do, they're not giving you the full picture. And that's what I love about you guys is it's a 24/7, this is our life, you know, and that's why you have the people who are loyal to you and who follow you because it's very real and it's what people really want.
Yeah, and we're not, see me, I'm probably really weird. I'm happy not 24/7, but like almost all the time because my mindset is okay, it could be worse because I've been there. Trust me, I've been there and nothing, you know, you just have to have a good mindset. You have to have a positive outlook and attitude. You have to be willing to go all in. You know, most people aren't. But I think we have one more question, Steph, and then we'll end it. Omar.
Hi, Omar.
Where is he?
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
There he is. Oh, yeah.
Hi, Omar.
Can you wait?
That's Albert's brother.
On. This is the first time I've ever asked a question gone on here, but
you're Albert's brother. Shouldn't your camera be on all the time?
I know. Yeah. He's always on here.
What's up?
I said you're always supporting us. He never asked a question. Go.
Yeah. I've never asked a question, but you know, I'm actually in the arts district right now. Gucci's having like a pop-up store with the North Face, and I like left my place in line to like listen to this and tune in because I know Joanna's very like special and she's married to like the GOAT of like design.
He's an architect, by the way.
And like, you know, I obviously follow Roman and I'm aware of his work. So, but first of all, this is more of like, it's not really a question. I just want to tell Syl, like, I'm really proud of you, and I'm really, because I don't really express my gratitude and like my appreciation that much, because like I'm always on my own thing. And you know, right now that you mentioned my name, and you mentioned that story of like me playing basketball with Albert and your deals falling apart. Like, I remember when you had that pickup truck with like all these like heels in the trunk.
Well, I stay ready. That's what people,
Yeah, you
that's
do.
my advantage. That's my edge. I'm always ready to go. Always.
Yeah, so I remember seeing this. I was like in high school, and I was like, "What the hell's wrong with this girl? Like you got to clean up this mess, girl." Like, but you know, one thing that really inspired me was, I remember this client that you had, Eli. Remember him?
Eli Schumer?
Yeah. He was like your first big breakaway.
He was my first investor who was amazing.
Yeah. So from that time, I remember you used to like take the bus and used to carry the signs.
Well, so I totaled my truck. Let me, Omar, don't just stay put. So look, this is commitment. This is making things happen. So guess what happened to me? This is before Ubers. There was only taxis. Okay, so let me tell you guys what happened. So I got a counter. Like, and me, if there's one quality that I think I have that helps me a lot, it's my sense of urgency. Like, I don't wait till tomorrow or the day after, or like just take my time. I'm like, hell no, I want to be first. So I got a counter offer for a property that had like 27 offers. Okay. I happen to know the listing agent, and I'm like, hey, what do I need to do? He's like, I'm like, okay, we went like 40 grand over asking. The property is worth like 900K right now in South Central. Okay. So I got a counter, and I was going to go to dinner with Omar's brother, Albert, my now husband. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll meet you there. And, you know, he wasn't okay with me being like in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. But I'm like, hell no, there's no way I'm not going to go get this signed by my client. A counter offer, dude. Like, I can open escrow tomorrow morning. It's a deal. So that's before DocuSign and all that good stuff. So I literally sped to his house, got it signed, talked to my client. He was so excited. And then I'm speeding past, like, up the 110 to the 10 to go back to my mom's house to pretend like I was just getting ready the whole time. I total my truck. Straight up. Like, this girl slammed on her brakes. I looked down at my TomTom back in the day. There's no GPS. It was a TomTom. I look down, I look up, and bam. And I still know what the taste of the...
Yeah.
You know what? The airbag.
I had that once. Yeah. I know
It's disgusting.
It's gross.
It's disgusting. And then, like, I'm just like, Albert, like, I lied. I totaled my truck, and I'm here right by your ex house. It was bad. So anyway, commitment. Yes or no? Like, I'm like, that was my priority, is getting this offer accepted. So anyway, Omar. That's why I took the bus with my signs, because I had a couple listings from an investor that I met at an open house. And there's no way I'm going to be like, oh, you know what? I totaled my truck. My problems are not his problems. And most people think that your problems are everybody else's, and they're not.
They don't
You
care.
have a responsibility.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why I took the bus with my signs to freaking LA.
Yeah.
So crazy. So
I'm not gonna reveal a lot more of the, you know, stories that are in my memory. I just wanted to point that out because I think it's important for people listening to like know how, like, what it takes.
Yeah.
Because for somebody to do that, like walk into the bus with like all these signs, and even like go to battle with all the people that live in like all the homeless people that live in like what's that, South Central?
Well, not before. Now, I would say it's a lot worse. It wasn't that bad. I never had any issues.
But you still you had a challenge, and you weren't going to let anything stop you. And that's, you know, you're here today because of that mindset.
Yeah, I agree. But thank you, Omar. Love you. I'll see you soon.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Thanks, Omar.
So we're going to close it out, guys. I think we went a little over, but we love you. And if you need anything, let us know. And Joanna, where
Yeah,
can
reach out
everybody follow
direct.
you?
My Instagram is probably the easiest. Yeah. Anyway, my email, Instagram. I'm
It's
available.
Joanna Palante,
Joanna
right?
Palante, yep. Just
On
my
her
first,
Instagram,
last
and
name.
we'll also put it
We'll
here
link
in the
it.
video.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll link it. So we love you guys.
Thank you so much.
Mwah.
Thank you.